Okay, good morning and welcome to day 2. I say good morning, it could be the afternoon, we won't get tied up on that. Hopefully you are watching me anyway. It's Tuesday and you're watching me on day 2 of the challenge. And today's challenge is all about business models and getting clear on your business model. Now, this is something that I feel is often overlooked in our online space when it comes to training and stuff. People kind of gloss over this business model stuff because it can be a little bit like, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me. But I want you to get really clear on what your actual business model is that you are using in your business, because it will make things so much easier because you'll know what the plan is, right? It's the basis of everything. Now, if you're not familiar what I mean by business model, I've done a little cheat sheet here for you that you can print out. It can sometimes help just to prompt you with some ideas. But I wanted to kind of go through them here. And as Drucker says, Peter Drucker, one of the big gurus when it comes to strategic management and marketing, a business model answers who your customer is, what value you can create, or add for the customer, and how you can do that on a reasonable cost. Now, again, as I said yesterday, we're not dealing with the first half of the business plan sort of concept here, the first part of that foundation. We're dealing with marketing, which is everything from the customer after and the whole service of how you serve your customer. So the reasonable cost part is something that you've got to figure out by yourself, but you do have to obviously keep it into consideration. It's part of business. You got to know what your costs are, right? So, but for now, what we're thinking about is, how we're going to actually add value and service our customer. So some of the ones that I have given here in the list, and, I can read some of them here, but you can obviously go through this yourself. These are different ways that you can kind of monetize things. And so I want you to think about this in relation to the idea that you might have been filtering around with yesterday, that you might have decided on yesterday. And if you haven't come to a definitive decision, maybe this will help you another way. So you could, like I said, give away a product here or a service. So this is what Facebook does. This is what YouTube does to a certain extent. Any of these social media platforms, they give away their service for free, creating a database of users, and then they sell advertising. So they monetize and make their money by selling advertising space because they've created this community. You can do this. Another model that, or another business that utilizes this model would be perhaps a podcast that has advertisers, or even a magazine, to get back to like basics, grassroots sort of business, a free ads magazine. Same principle applies. You can also do this if you have a blog. So if you have a blog that is about photography, say, you can actually run ads on that or sell advertising space on that to third parties. So you might not necessarily just run random ads. You might have a specific thing that is sponsored, a specific post that is sponsored content, and that maybe by Canon, get your Canon to sponsor your blog, and therefore you're getting paid, but you're producing content to the end user for free. Okay, so that giving away a product and monetizing it with advertising, that's a very lucrative business to be in if you can create the audience that's interested in your stuff. So that's where the marketing and advertising and all of that comes in. But if you don't have that big audience, it's hard to get that revenue generated fast enough. Now, I will make a point here that I should have said at the beginning. It's very important that a good business may utilize several different business models within its business plan. Okay. To be prudent, you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. And so if, your advertising revenue went away, you would have another stream of revenue open to you, right? So that's something to think about. But for the purposes of this challenge, we can really only focus on one. And actually, I would like you to build one out initially and then have other things to back it up. Because when we have all these different things that we're trying to focus on, we don't get any traction, okay? So we're really going to try and focus on your main thing. And then as you build that up and down the line, as it becomes a little bit more self-sufficient, you can build out some other streams as well, okay? All right, so another one here I talk about is freemium, which is where they give away the basic service, but then you get you pay additionally to get the add-on service. Like, so for example, I don't know if you've seen YouTube Red, I think it's called, where you don't get the ads. So you don't get the ads if you pay the money, and that's a good premise as well. But again, it relies on you having a very big base of people reading or watching your stuff, okay? The third one I have here on the list, which is product cost plus margin, which is typically how the product-based businesses develop their pricing, and that's their model, right? So that they have a product and it costs them this much to make a widget, and they add on like 20% of that, and that's how they end up making their money, and they charge that to the end consumer, or maybe to the as a consumer or as a wholesaler or whatever. That is a way that is it's traditional way of doing business, and it's not one of the ways that I promote a lot, because it's difficult to make a sizable amount of income doing that kind of work, right? I want you to still, instead of thinking about that product cost plus margin, which if you make something like, if you're a crafter and you make a painting or something, you can kind of get trapped into that. Well, it cost me this for my canvas and this for my oils and this, right? But what I want you to do is move towards this fourth one here, which is a values-based approach offer. Okay, so the value-based approach offer. And so how you're going to deliver your service is based on the value that the end customer is getting. It's all about adding value to their life or to whatever they need. And so that will determine everything from pricing to how you position, how you market, how you display your product, all of this sort of stuff. This value, whole idea and concept of value will determine a lot of that piece. This is the photographer that goes from charging like $100 for €100 for 100 prints or an hour of their time, to somebody who changes towards a focus of a package of 20 hand curated, hand tinted mounted prints, packaged in a beautiful archival box that you can present and share, and memories that you'll have forever, right? So to get the kind of idea that I'm talking about, that has much more value than just 100 images and or an hour of your time. Most times people don't want to just buy an hour of your time. They want the transformation or the value piece, right? And we can talk more about this in the coaching in the group, and I hope you'll get on there live and join me for that, because this is is really, really interesting, and it's kind of the line that I want you to follow, because you can do this pretty quickly. The fifth one here I've outlined is the subscription model, and that is also something you can do, and every one of these can be applied to different business, creative or otherwise. It's amazing when you start to think about it. You can actually see how you could bring these pieces into your business. Now, whether or not you want that to be your mainstay, that has got completely up to do with you. And I would remember the lesson that you did yesterday and that exercise on your ideal day, and see how many of these things fit with that. That will help you make your decision as well. And finally there, I've talked about the affiliate model. And the affiliate model is where you're actually selling other people's stuff and you're getting a commission off of the top of that. So for example, if you're selling, recommending stuff from Amazon or from any company anywhere online has an affiliate program. It's all about knowing where to find it and to position it. For that to work too, you do typically have to have some sort of an audience. So you need to kind of have that built up already. But you can also do it without that. You know, it's kind of a supplementary income a lot of times. Now, we're going to try something here because I want you to get an idea on this tool that I'm talking about. It can really help you when you're brainstorming all of these ideas, and this is called Simple Mind Light. If you've never done a mind map or a brain dump before, I want to encourage you to do that now. If you've got no access to this Simple Mind Light, it is a free program. This is there is a paid version, but this is a free software that you can use. I love it because it's all over the place and you can kind of run with it. It's so fun to use a mind mapping software on your iPad if you have one of those. But you can also use this and this, a pencil and a piece of paper. Does the same thing, right? It's all about getting out there, getting this stuff out of your head onto the concrete world. But I'm going to try this and share my screen just to show you how I've kind of developed an idea here that might kind of jar your brain a little bit. Okay, so let me see. I can share. I think you should be sharing my screen, and this is an idea. This is this is a mind map. Okay. Ooh, I can't see myself. Okay, I can't see what I'm looking at here. Okay, so as you can see here, I just took, since a lot of my people are photographers, I took the photography business idea and I kind of split out from that all of the different types of photography that you could do. And this is by no means exhaustive. There are lots that you can do apart from this. So I took one train of thought here and I thought, okay, nature photography, I like to do that. And then I looked at all of the different ways that we could monetize our nature photography. And these again, some of the ways, not all of the ways, right? So we could teach a photography workshop. We could sell it to magazines. We could sell the artwork to corporations or to consumers. You could sell note cards, right? So each of those things I would go and put through my filter of my ideal day exercise. And if people who work with me have other tools that we can put that sort of stuff through as well. But for now, you know, not like we can't. We've only got 5 days together, so we can only do so much, right? Go and have a think about all of these different things. And like I've built out some, so sell to magazine. Well, if I wanted to sell my work to a magazine, I would have to be prepared to travel, to get some really good shots. You know, I would want a large network of established people, whatever. So that might not necessarily fit with my life and my values and my family right now. But maybe selling note cards would, right? That is maybe something that I could do. So then what I've done is I've looked at all the different ways here that I could actually monetize that. So the most obvious one to most people would be to sell them to in person, right? So I could utilize my network that I have locally, and I could sell in maybe a shop that I know, or use some art craft stores or some art and craft shows, and I could do that sort of stuff. Or I could sell them on my own website. Things like selling them on your own website, you still got to drive the traffic, the same as if you're selling it on a web a marketplace such as Etsy. Driving traffic, all of that sort of stuff is pretty it's obvious to me, but it may not be obvious to you. So we'll talk about these things in detail, and if you want to know more about them, we'll certainly talk about it in the Facebook group. And we will be digging a little bit further into this a little bit more as the next couple of days. But what I wanted to show you, like you could even sell the note cards free, as sort of like utilizing this freemium model, right? You could, like, technically you could put advertisements on there. Like you don't maybe want to do that. That might not be in keeping with your values, right, for your artwork, but you could technically do it. Or you could sell it to, say, like an a doctor's office and they could brand it and you could go about it that way, right? So I just want you to get an idea of what I'm talking about here with a mind map and how it works and how one idea leads to another, to another, to another. Do not get overwhelmed by software. Like I say, we are all creative, especially when we've got one of these and this very fancy resource here, right? Piece of paper. I want to encourage you to make some decisions today, come up with some of the things that, really feel good to you and test them out on the group, and we'll give you some feedback. I want to encourage you to support and encourage each other within the group. Feel free that you can run ideas past people. It's not just for me to answer. The more the merrier. There's no right or wrong answer in any of this. This all comes from within. So, like I said earlier, join me live at 12 o'clock midday. If you've missed it and you're watching this later, you can go back and watch the replay and you can still ask your questions in the group. I am there for you this week and I am excited to help. All right. See you tomorrow for day 3.